Everyone, my name is Neil and welcome to Scientifically Speaking, a show where a variety of science topics will be discussed. You can find topics ranging from biology to psychology and even more. All that I ask is for you to come in to the episodes with an open mind. With all that being said, let's get started. Anne Wojcicki, co-founder of 23andMe, once said, "Just as computer technology and the internet created whole new industries and extraordinary benefits for people that extend into almost every realm of human endeavor, from education to transportation, medicine, genetics will undoubtedly benefit people everywhere in ways we can't even imagine, but know will surely occur." According to the World Health Organization, most diseases involve many genes in complex interactions. Some may not be born with the disease, but may be at high risk of acquiring it. When these genes become flawed and cause disease, genetic therapy can correct defective genes responsible for disease development. To show you this, we'll be going over some really interesting studies to show how this is the case. Have you heard of retinal dystrophy, also known as hereditary blindness? Patients with a gene mutation known as RPE65 suffer from severe visual impairment at first, then become blind later in life. Individuals underwent Luxturna, a gene therapy technique, which was a treatment that significantly improved eyesight in patients with RPE65 gene mutations. Since retinal dystrophy is progressive, the gene therapy helped combat the onset of the disease. Gene therapy could even help combat the effects of more complicated disease. For instance, Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's disease is a progressive nervous system disorder that affects movement. Symptoms start gradually, sometimes starting with a barely noticeable tremor in just one hand. Tremors are common, but the disorder also commonly causes stiffness or slowing of movement. Approximately 15% of people with Parkinson's disease have a family history of the disorder. Familial cases of Parkinson's disease can be caused by mutations in genes, like, for instance, PARK7 and PRKN, or even other alterations. A small group of patients with advanced Parkinson's disease were treated with a retroviral vector to introduce 3 genes into cells in and around the substantia nigra. The substantia nigra being the location of the brain that produces the neurotransmitter dopamine. These genes gave cells that don't make dopamine the ability to do so. After treatment, all of the patients in the trial had improved muscle control. The muscle control improved, but this did not serve as a cure. Gene therapy has potential beyond treatments for diseases. For instance, fertility. Scientists in Japan demonstrated that inserting healthy copies of the gene into the sterile males can unblock sperm production for infertile male mice. They did the gene therapy on Sertoli cells, which are cells that are essential for spermatogenesis. They provide nutrients and nourishment to the germ cells that produce sperm. Some of the infertile mice used in the experiment began to produce immature sperm cells, and in one case, the sperm was mature enough to actually produce healthy offspring. Now, gene therapy targets one or multiple cells, but what about other severe disorders? Did you know cancer is a genetic mutation? It actually affects the p53 gene, which is crucial for cell division regulation. Targeted therapies have targets that are associated with cancer, whereas most standard chemotherapies act on all rapidly dividing normal and cancerous cells. So much more efficient. Targeted therapies are deliberately chosen or designated to interact with their target, whereas many standard chemotherapies were identified because they kill any cells. Molecular biologist Kenneth Miller stated in regards to gene therapy, "Our own genomes carry the story of evolution written in our DNA." the language of molecular genetics, and the narrative is unmistakable. With all the astounding things your genes are responsible for, there is still a lot left to learn about. Gene therapy is just a step into solving the bigger puzzle. It has the potential to save so many lives. For all we know, one day it could even save your life. Thank you all so much for watching this episode of Scientifically Speaking. I'm Neil, and I'll see you in the next episode.